there's some teams you take the chance to do that because it boosts your resume. So that said, I think it could be a competitive game. I haven't looked that far ahead yet.
Yeah, I'm not saying they're going to go out there and get blown out. I'm just saying, knowing that you're going out there, it's a tough place to play and things may not go well. We know that they're not going to try and win by 60.
Right.
So the Buckeyes stay on the road. They're going to stay out in California and not have to go very far as they take on Sacramento State, which I mentioned earlier is a team coached by. It's an interesting story. There's a young lady that is the head coach at Glenville State now, who actually played high school basketball with my middle child, at the local high school here. She was a senior when Christiana was a sophomore, and she went to play at Glenville State while they were in transition, and they hired Bunky Harkleroad, who is the Sacramento State head coach now. Kim Stevens followed him as an assistant coach out there, and then when the Glenville State job opened again, they went after Kim Stevens, and she brought the same brand and style of play of substituting 5 players for 5 players every minute to 2 minutes, and she's enjoyed quite a bit of success. And that's going to be an interesting transition in 2 days from a very plotting, physical, big Stanford team to playing a team that's going to probably run Ohio State's butts off. And it's going to be an interesting game to finish before they have a break until the Big Ten schedule starts with Purdue on 12/28.
Yeah, their depth will be tested in that game. But every time the Sacramento State subs, Ohio State can have the opportunity to sub too to counter it. So,
are we surprised at this point at the depth of the bench that McGuff has actually been using early on?
I think surprise would be an understatement, frankly. I've been shocked at how willing he has been to go to the bench and for significant minutes. It's not, okay, the starters need a break. We'll give them a quick minute or two on the bench and put them right back in. I mean, you're seeing, 8, 9 players playing double-digit minutes a game, if not more.
I'm not surprised by that at all. I'll be the counterpoint here. You've got a young team. You've got a bunch of freshmen and sophomores. You got to throw them out there and see what they can do. You got a top 5 recruiting class or a top 20 recruiting class. You got to throw them out there and see what they can do. Give them a chance in the pre-conference. Go deep. Let everybody get some playing time. Then you can figure out who your top 8 are, who your top 7, 8 are for the conference gauntlet, and then then you've got your rotation set for the end of the season when it really matters.
Oh, I agree. It's a great thing to see, and I love the strategy. It's just been very counter to what we've seen from McGuff the past few years.
Absolutely.
And it's been odd that your leading minute people, when you look at the total points that they scored in the UConn game, he played 11 players. Satterfield got the least amount of minutes of 8 minutes in the game, but she contributed in a way that was important because they did kind of get tired down the stretch. Juhas played 32 minutes. Janai Crooms and Braxton Miller each were over 32 minutes, and I'm kind of stuck in between the two of you because I wonder if this is a preparation to try to retain recruits moving forward when he has this kind of a class, because that's not been his MO. His MO has been to ride his 5 or 6 horses in most games and then have a couple of kids that can come in and contribute.
Yeah, it could very well be.
It'll be interesting to see how this develops. I'm sure this is going to be a Charles Corner or a Scott's Rant a few episodes from now, maybe.
Well, I can jump right into my rant now because it's not really a rant, but it's more of a mea culpa, I guess, towards Coach McGuff, because you and I talked about this offline. I was not a fan of the hire of Coach McGuff. but I have seen his recruiting class this year. I've seen how well they're playing. They're buying into his system. He's changing things up a little bit, willing to do some things he normally doesn't do, like going 8-9 deep. So, my rant really isn't a rant. It's saying, hey, I'm backing off Coach McGuff. I think he's finally turned the corner, and I am no longer going to be one of his biggest critics and a big thorn in his side. Not that he even knows who I am, but I've seen what's going on this year, and I think he's finally where I thought he should have been several years ago.
Yeah, I totally agree. I actually like the hire now. Yes, I was on the bandwagon of back the biggest truck of money up to Jeff Waltz down in Louisville's house, give him what he wants. But when they announced McGuff's hiring, I was all on board with him. Like, he did good things at Washington. He's a local guy coming home. This is, it's a great storyline. He's a young coach that we can hang on to for a while, especially after the Foster thing, who did great things, but we all knew he was going to be retiring at some point. He's old. Granted, he went on to another job, but beside the point. But I think the fact is, at Ohio State, we've been very used to older, more experienced coaches in most sports. And so we maybe haven't had to go through the fact that, the coaches have to learn and grow too.
Yep.
Absolutely. And hopefully in the Big Ten conferences this year, do real quick preview. They open up with Purdue on the 28th. And I'm really, really kind of surprised that at this point, this early, there are only 3 ranked 10 teams in the Big Ten, and number 9 Maryland, number 15 Michigan State, and number 17 Indiana. And that does not bode well for a third or fourth team to get into the conference that doesn't make it to the Final Four of the Big Ten championships this year. So it'll be really, really interesting to see how that plays out. The conference appears to be down a little bit this year.
I like to say parity.
Yeah. And I wouldn't read too much into that. The polls have never loved the Big Ten women's basketball all that much. The committee seems to like us better, traditionally.
Right.
Yep.
All right. Well, we will get into some real quick predictions. Scott, predictions on how you think the season will go and where they'll end up.
Wow. Predictions. I never... And this is going back to when I was in sales and I sold cars and I sold insurance. They'd always want me to put a number on what my goal was. And I said, if I do that, I start getting desperate. I start taking shortcuts and doing things the wrong way. So I never like to put a number on anything. I'm going to say they're going to win some games. They're going to lose some games. They're going to make us scratch our heads at times. They're going to make us jump up and high five each other at times. And if everything gets clicking, if this class learns how to grow up quickly, I could see them making a run for the NCAA tournament. Given the parity in the Big Ten, there's no reason why they couldn't get hot for a weekend and win the tournament. So I'm thinking if all that happens, there's a shot they could make the tournament, but my best guess is maybe the WNIT hovering maybe a little better than 500. I'm not going to put a number on it, and I hope I'm wrong with that, but I'm thinking that's probably right about where this team is and where they should be given the youth.
Right. Yeah, I pretty much agree with that. I think it's a young team. I think it's going to be even more maddening than Ohio State sports often is. We've all gone through seriously what the hell, games in any sport, and then the other ones where you're like, we're awesome, we're great. So I think this is going to be even more bipolar of a season. But no, I would agree. I think we're going to be a little over 500. I think the strength of schedule, which is going to be a top 10 strength of schedule unless everyone else just craters out, in the Big Ten. It's going to be a top 10 strength of schedule. I think that's going to put us in the running for an NCAA tournament with a record that normally wouldn't. But I suspect it'll be the WNIT, and I think that'll be a blessing, actually. I think I think a deeper run into that would be much more beneficial for this team than a first weekend, only in the NCAA, because they'll probably land a 9, 10, 11 seed, and you're going to have a tough second game then. So
Yep.
I think I actually would love to see another deep run into the WNIT to really. I mean, this team needs more games.
Yep. Yep.
Yep,
And
totally
Ohio
agree
State
with
has
you.
the money. Yeah, they have the money to say, go play in the WNIT, go as far as you want.
Right, exactly. And I think the athletic department sees why that's important. Not every school does that. They're like, oh, if we're not going to make money off this, who cares? But, OSU has shown in the past that they realize the value of you got to play.
Yep. Yeah, and I'm gonna combine my prediction from the two of you. I'm starting to see a theme of our shows, and I completely agree. I think that it's a hodgepodge, but the end result of a women's NIT also could mean, because of the men's schedule after the fact when the NIT starts, we could see some home games at St. John Arena in the women's NIT like we have in the past, and that would be an awesome opportunity for the women's program. It was great seeing the men's team play there last week, and the opportunities that could present. So that's going to be my prediction, is that they make the women's NIT, because I'm in full agreement with both of you. If they make the NCAA's, they're probably going to run into a buzzsaw in the second round, and that could really curtail some recruiting, because he's got a decent class already on the hook for next year, and it'll be really interesting to see how that lands out as the season goes on too.
Yep, I agree.
Yep.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for the first episode of High State Women's Basketball String Ting on Modsag Sports Network. Alongside Scott Hallis, Charles Kuhn, I am Chris Hunt. Until next time, everybody. So long.